This is a Robits one-stage lift kit, and today we're going to be stringing it up. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to take our pulley and our string, and the string needs to go through one of the holes from the inside of the pulley, and then we will tie a double knot. 1, 2. Make sure pull that pretty tight. The next thing we're going to do, we're going to put our pulley on our motor shaft. Make sure the knot on this first one is facing towards the motor. Then we're going to take our string, we're going to measure up to the top where the string has to go. We're going to measure down to the carriage where it's going to go, and we're going to cuff off about an extra inch to inch and a half of string. For this next step, I'm going to put this on its side. We will take our string and make sure we're underneath this crossbar, and the string goes in between the two spacers. And then on this side, we're going to make sure we've wrapped about 1 full rotation worth of string on the pulley. This is going to help in the future to prevent any pulling on the hole itself, because it'll make sure all the load gets distributed into the pulley. So from here, we're going to wrap our string around. We're going to double knot it just like we did on the other side. Now on the end of our string, one thing we might want to do, take a lighter and torch the end of the string, because that's going to help with fraying. So this is our up cable. And what this is going to do is as it spools and pulls here, it's going to cause our elevator to go up. With the elevator in the all the way up position, we can make our down cable. Similarly, we're going to take our string, feed it through the pulley. We're going to tie a knot. We'll tie a second knot just to make sure it's hefty. So this will go on our spool, and similarly, we will want about 1 full wrap. We want to go the opposite direction that the first one went. And then we'll measure out from our spacer to where it ties off, and we'll give ourselves an additional inch to inch and a half where we cut it. Similarly, we can torch the end a little bit. So from here, we'll go through the 2 sets of spacers, and we'll go up, and we're going to tie off to the same spot that we tied the first one. You might notice this looks a little bit loose, and that's fine, because what we can do is while the first one is in tension, we can take the spool that we just made for the other and twist it to tension it, and then slide it back on the hex. Now, this side is tensioned and this side's tensioned. Before we go too far, we'll want to make sure we put our retaining screw on so that our pulleys don't fall off the shaft. So this is a 2-stage Robits lift kit, and it'll be pretty similar to the 1-stage. So we're going to set this down like so. We're going to take our string, probably make sure the edge is a little bit cleaned up. Take this, we're just going to go through our pulley. We're going to tie ourselves a double knot. Get a nice tug. We're going to put our pulley on. So we're probably going to do about a full turn. We're going to measure out to the first spot where it's going to go around. We're going to measure down to the next spot where it's going to go around. We're going to measure out to the third spot it's going to go around. And then we're going to go down to here and then measure out about 1.5 inches and cut our string. So now that we have our string cut to the length we need it, the first thing we'll do is we'll go under this first crossbar in between the washers, making sure to take out the slack along the way. Then it'll go between the spacers on our first moving stage. Take the slack out of that. So we're going to take our string, and it's going to go next to this spacer, which should be the 3rd spacer in this line, and then back between the 3rd spacer and the 4th spacer. And make sure that the string is on top of the white nylon spacer so that when it goes up and down, it doesn't get pulled off. And then this is going to go around the spacer here on this carriage. We're going to tie a double knot. Then once you're at the end, make sure the string is nice and warm so it won't just fray. So once we have our up string, we want to run our lift to the end of its travel so we can do the down string. Similarly, we will stick our string through the pulley, give it a good old double knot. Nice and tight, nice and tight. Make sure our end's not gonna fray. We're gonna put this here on the motor shaft. Make sure it's got about one wrap in the opposite direction as the first one. It's gonna go from under here all the way up to about the same tie-off point we had here. We'll give ourselves a little bit of extra room, about an inch. While we're here, go ahead and torch the end a little bit. And so this is gonna go in between the 4 washers on the non-moving stage. And it's gonna go above this bar and beneath this bar. And it's going to tie to the bottom of our spring. So once it's tied to the bottom of the spring, what this is gonna do is allow tensioning of one cable as it pulls up and down. And then one neat trick to make sure you preserve your spring in case you overdrive your lift is you can pass the string through the spring and then tie the string to one of the holes in the carriage while the spring is at maximum extension. And what this will do is it'll make sure that when this is overstretched, it can't go any farther because the string that's tied to the structure won't let it. And you'll want to double knot this so it doesn't come off. Similarly to the one-stage lift, it looks like our down string isn't tensioned while our up string is. So what we'll do is we'll just take our spool off that controls our down spring, we'll twist it a little bit to provide tension, and we'll put our retaining screw back on. And now, if we give it a run, we should be able to see it goes up and down.